than anything, Zelensky says he wants generals who are a bit more can-do, a bit more aggressive, whereas Zaluzhny was very competent. But I think Zelensky thought that he was a bit too conservative in his military judgments. Most other people thought Zaluzhny got it about right. So there may be a change in tone politically, but this represents a degree of continuity in a military sense.
And Mike, now that General Zaluzhny has been replaced by Oleksandr Syrsky, could you tell us how much of an impact that is likely to have on the direction of the war?
I don't think it'll have that much impact on the ground in the war itself, because Syrskyi is the land forces commander, and so he's stepping up to be commander in chief. And although that's a fairly big step up for him, he's stepping up 2 places. He's going above the chief of the general staff to be commander in chief. Nevertheless, that brings continuity, and Syrsky is the man who masterminded the offensives in Kharkiv and Kherson. So, I mean, he has a good pedigree in that respect. The interest of the replacement, Zaluzhny for Syrsky, is really in the politics of it. I mean, Zaluzhny, as it was stepping into a different role, but not stepping out of the tent altogether, is very important, because President Zelensky, has got to keep unity among his team. And it's not unreasonable. I mean, generals often get replaced in wartime for various reasons. And given where the Ukrainians are now militarily and almost certain loss of Avdiivka, that it's not unreasonable that you take a general out of the equation and put another general in, because you may want to change the tactics or encourage a change of tactics a little bit. More than anything, Zelensky says he wants generals who are a bit more can-do, a bit more aggressive, whereas Zaluzhny was very competent. But I think Zelensky thought that he was a bit too conservative in his military judgments. Most other people thought Zaluzhny got it about right. So there may be a change in tone politically, but this represents a degree of continuity in a military sense. Well, countries often replace their generals during wars. It's not that abnormal. And interestingly, Zaluzhny looks as if he's going to be kept in the tent, as it were, if he stays, rather than go into some sort of opposition role, which would be very negative. So that sort of rotation is not so unusual. But clearly, Zelensky had a political problem that's been building since before Christmas, and he had to address this problem to solidify his own leadership for certainly the next 12 months, and convince the outside world that the anti-corruption policies that he's adopting are still going to work their way through. And I mean, Zaluzhny was never identified as somebody who was corrupt, but there is a sense that the failure of the offensive and the problems in Avdiivka, in a sense, are laid at the door of the commander-in-chief, and that's not inappropriate, even though Zaluzhny is certainly a very good man, and you don't rule out the fact that him taking another command role at some other stage in the war.